Hey, everybody.
Hey, welcome, everybody.
Welcome. It's Friday.
That's right. Don't fret, Friday. Don't fret. We're super late, but it's okay because we made it. It's my fault. I was sleeping, and my phone didn't wake me up. So there we are. But hey, at
But, you
least we
know,
made.
but this is a testament to how awesome Ryan is because he can just wait. You can wake him up. You can shake him out of bed and dump him on the floor, and he'll just get up and do a live stream.
You don't have to wait to shake me and drop me in the floor to do that.
I figured somebody must have done that. That's how you woke up.
No, I woke up. I had a really long dream, and when I woke up from it, I'm like, that dream was too long. Uh-oh. And it was a weird dream too. We're talking about like a bus trip. We're talking about like uh, lots of friends that are girls that are interests, and then like weird setting in a mall trying to go to the bathroom, and then everybody has a gun and is trying to shoot each other. Like this was a weird dream.
Yeah.
I had to wrestle the first guy who got a gun, and I had to wrestle him, and then I threw the gun. I broke it into pieces, and I threw it. I was like, Sarah, now you can't use it. And then like 15 other people stepped in the room with guns, and I'm like, this is ridiculous. And then my bus came back, and I was able to get in the bus, and then I got in the bus, and then one of the people that had the guns was on the bus, but he didn't have a gun, and he was like, hey, buddy. And I was like, hey. And he was like, you want to sit next to me? He was the only guy not with the seat. I'm like, I'll go sit on the edge of that seat over there.
That's great.
Yeah, anyways.
Wow. So SZB, the songwriter, if you're still listening, I'm sorry for being late. I'm sorry that but if you have something you want to post, you know where to post it on the website, or you can send the email, and we'd love to handle it. So yeah, hopefully we'll be able to start earlier at some point. But at any rate, it's all good. So I'm going to get out of Ryan's way because he's supposed to be hosting tonight.
Yeah, well, that's
he
all
can
right.
host the show.
You can host as much as you want. I don't mind.
I will toast to your host.
Okay. All right. Nice. Clean.
Cheers.
Yeah, see. Make the sound as if it happened, but didn't. Wow, that was impressive. You win.
Oh my.
Okay, so anyways, welcome to Don't Fret Friday, the show where we talk about the issues that you might be having throughout your day, week, life, whatever. You know, as you've all heard before, we're not professionals, but we're here to be a good friend. We're not psychiatrists or psychiatrists or psychologists or any psycho
or zoologists.
We might be psycho, but we're not professional. So yeah, we're here to just maybe give you some inspiration, encouragement. A lot of times you know what to do with your life, but you need a little bit more encouragement, or you just need to talk it out, and that makes you feel better. And we're here for you to do that. Sometimes we give advice, but you don't have to follow it. We don't care. But yeah, this is the show, and we've got quite a few messages or topics we can talk about. And also want to give a thanks to Jesse and Princess for being here to do the show with us. You guys do a lot behind the scenes, and I appreciate that. So anyhow, let's see here. I'm going to do a little roll call because we've got people in the past who have posted comments that we can read through. It was Angel here, Akil. We could do Saturas regardless. And let's see, Anna P, Jack, Kendra, and Cody, and Seft, apparently.
And Seft, and also there is one from Kay. Kay sent us an email. I just haven't posted on the website yet. I'm sorry for my delay on that, Kay. But did get your message, and yes. So I will post it on there now, actually.
Yeah. So if any of those people are here, just write a message in the chat. It looks like, okay, cool. What would I sound like trying to do a Hispanic accent? Not very good. Yeah. I can do kind of a Spanish accent. It's definitely not very good. Don't be so stereotypical, man. I don't even like jalapenos. That's my Hispanic accent. It's very airy, as you can tell. All right. So, you know what? Since we can, I don't see Kendra, Cody, Akil, Jack. Did we do Lays?
We did not do Lays.
Okay, or Lay. Yet.
But Satura, is it Saturas that
yeah,
we can do?
Do that one. So that's
all
exactly what I'm getting at. So why don't we do that one? Okay. Let's jump right into it.
Satura.
You guys ready? Everybody in the chat ready?
Almost. I'm almost there. I'm almost there.
I shall wait.
What the heck? Where'd it go? Did I miss it? Aha! Ha 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 ha!
I like how you spelled jalapenos there, Science.
There's that.
Get it?
So now you guys can read along. And yeah, it's gonna be awesome. So, all right, I'm ready now.
Okay, sweet.
Rack attack! Ah!
Rack attack! Ah! The planes have come. Hey, it's Rack attack. Okay, bye. Amazing, Rack. Amazing. All right, so this one's from Satura, and it's called "I Might Give Up Soon," is what they titled this. All right, this was posted a little while ago, but it reads this. First and foremost, I am Satura from Discord and Strawberry Scarlet from YouTube. My account names vary in different places, so I make it clear. Whenever I genuinely ask someone for help, I cringe myself so far back into my own skin, I might as well be in another dimension. I literally freeze up and can barely move or breathe if I'm lucky. I hate myself for being so weak. But if you know what I'm beginning to hate, but do you know what I'm beginning to hate more? Life. It's become too mentally painful for me to live. The country I'm in is running out of resources and electricity. If I lose the internet, I lose everything I am. And I know that might sound like a harsh comparison, but I don't have anything else to my name. I'm just a delusional and insanity-ridden 18-year-old. I don't know what to say anymore. I don't know what to do. How do I carry on and make the pain go away? Okay, so that's from Satura, and that's quite an interesting post, I think, on a couple of different levels. Being, having your identity being completely within the internet, that is a reality that I think a lot of people experience now, or that they feel that now, because we spend so much time on the internet. Learning to separate ourselves from that can be difficult in our current day and age. But yeah, it sounds like you've got a lot going on. You don't really like life right now. You might be a little bit depressed and something, along those lines. So I can relate to you there. And hopefully we can be of some aid. You said every time you ask for help, you kind of seize up, and I can relate to that too. But hopefully this time it won't be that way, and we can maybe send some encouragement, maybe send some help your way, and have it be useful to you. But anyways, I'm gonna get out of Joe's way and let him do some good talking here.
Yeah, well, we'll see if it's good talking. I'm not sure. I thank you for setting me up. And wow, Satura, thank you for posting. This is definitely a painful topic. I mean, I remember before the internet. I don't remember before electricity. But I do remember before the internet, and I know that depression and discouragement existed before the internet because I was in that boat. And I also know that it existed before electricity. So all these things existed before all that stuff. So if you lost the internet and electricity, you might still have the discouragement and the issues going with you. So what I'm saying, this isn't meant to discourage you. The point of that is that it doesn't necessarily like you don't have to base your feelings on what kind of resources you have. Now, I know for a fact that when you lose something that's important to you, it hurts. And I know that when you feel like you're about to lose something, or you seem to, you're looking at the future and you're like, uh-oh, we're running out of resources, this and that, and it might all just shut off. And then what would I do in that situation? I understand the fear involved there can be absolutely crippling, and that is really, really hard to deal with. So I feel for you, Satura. I know this is really tough. So one thing that you can do, and I do this from time to time when I'm facing something that's going to be really hard. First of all, I will look at the situation. I'll be like, okay, excuse me, what's the worst thing that could possibly happen here? What is the worst thing that would happen if you lost the internet? Now, like Ryan said, maybe a lot of your identity is tied up into the internet right now. But I've known people who, for whatever reason, they were no longer able to get on Discord or different streams or do things with us. And it was a big part of what they did. And then they all of a sudden lost the ability to do that. Then the question becomes, what do you do with yourself in that situation? And I know that you would be able to survive. I know it because I know how human beings operate. I know that we've survived for millennia with all kinds of varying different resources and different things. And we have so much available to us now technologically that for us to even imagine looking back to having been without this technology, it blows our minds, and it's hard for us to accept. We're like, oh my gosh, I can't even imagine what life would be like if I had to go to the gas station and I couldn't swipe my credit card in the gas pump. If I actually had to go in and pay with cash money to buy gas every time, I didn't have the option to swipe it. And nowadays, we've got these little TV screens at all the gas pumps. Like now there's TV playing at us all the time while we pump the gas. And I'm like, what would it be like if I had to pump gas and I didn't have somebody talking at me through a screen?
That'd be nice.
It would. It would. You're right.
Things, I don't think.
What's that?
I don't know if anybody likes those things.
I don't know either. Apparently enough people like them that they keep them. So, but I mean, things just keep going, and things keep getting more and more easy and convenient, and for us to think what it would be like to lose any little bit of that can be a really discouraging thought. So sometimes it's fun to play this little game in your head, and it's what would be the worst thing that could happen. So, okay, so if you lost the internet, How would you handle that? And really take some time and think, oh my gosh, the internet just went out and it's gone. What would be the worst? How would you handle that? And then when you imagine through that, when you think of that, I will say probably in your situation, I don't know what country you're in, but I know a lot of times the things that we're afraid of happening, and a lot of times if other people tell us, you know, oh, we're on the brink of disaster, it's really not that bad. Now, I don't know, maybe in your country it's different, but I know here in the United States, people talk all the time. They always talk about we're on the edge of disaster. We're going to run out of fuel. We're going to run out of this and that and da 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 da. But all that is designed to drum up fear in us so that it's a crazy system. It's almost like they want us to be afraid to keep us in line, or to keep us from venturing out, or to keep us from pursuing our goals and dreams. They want us to keep us in check with fear, it seems like. You know, it's crazy. So I'm telling you, even if all that happened, even if you lost electricity, you lost a bunch of resources, and the internet went away, you would still be able to make it. And sometimes it's fun before you get in that, you know, type of situation, if that situation ever did happen, which I would say it's probably unlikely, but if it did, it would be good to plan ahead beforehand and say, okay, what would I do if that happened? And then you start to plan for that. And you start to be like, okay, well, I would do this, I would do that, I would do this. You know, I play that game in my head. What would happen if we lost everything? You know, we got attacked by some other world power, and you know, they dropped a big bomb on us, and we lost internet, electricity, all of our resources. We had no fuel, and we were basically thrown back to a third world country. And I'm like, you know what? I don't know exactly how that would work, but I do know how to make a fire. I do know how to make a shelter. And so I took wilderness survival class in college. That's one of my classes that I took all kinds of assorted classes in college. It was incredible. But I took that class, and I was forced into that scenario. Like, what if I had nothing and I was in the middle of nowhere and there was nobody? They actually put us in that situation because they're like, all right, you can take everything that you can fit into a coffee can is what you can bring. And we're going out into the woods for like 3 days. So 3 days, 2 nights. I mean, it wasn't that big a deal. It was pretty short, but it was still kind of tough because what we found was you spend so much time looking for food, you don't have time to think of anything else. Like, so if that would happen, to be like, okay, where do I find food? What can I do? Do I set traps to kill an animal and eat it? Or do I just go and get plants? Like, what do I do? Do I try and catch fish? You know, all those different scenarios start to run through your head, and you're like, okay, so you're so focused on looking for food and surviving that I wasn't thinking about who was trying to get a hold of me by text message. I was looking for some kind of leaves to throw in some soup that I was boiling some water. You know what I mean? So if that happens, you know, there's a lot of things that you just would not be concerned about anymore because other more important things would take priority. And it gets kind of fun because when we were, what's that?
I said, and it's kind of fun when that happens, isn't it? Your mind gets taken into a new place and you're just like, you know what? I'm actually enjoying myself.
Yeah. Yeah. Because you're like, what's my responsibility now? You know, all these other responsibilities that I had before, they no longer exist. I don't have to answer emails anymore. I don't have to worry about emails coming in from clients anymore. It's like, because there's no such thing as email anymore. Like, so, but anyway, so they throw us out in the woods with the coffee can full of stuff, right? And I even packed in there a bunch of granola bars and toilet paper, very important, and some string and some rope, and I threw some matches in there, or a lighter. I wanted to have a lighter. I knew how to make a fire with flint and steel, but I wanted to actually make it easy on myself. So I'll tell you this little story. This is the crazy thing. Our priorities were way out of whack, right? We got thrown out into the woods, and here we are. We're out in the middle of nowhere, and it's just me and this other guy, right? So we're like, oh, we should probably think about building a shelter, right? That's probably a good first step to do, go out and find some stuff to build a shelter with. And we're like looking up at the sky, and we're like, you know what? It looks like it's going to rain. What we need to do is we need to make a rain catcher. Because can you imagine how great it will be? The whole 3 days, we're going to have nice, fresh rainwater to drink. We won't have to purify creek water. We won't have to stick the iodine tablets in there and drink iodine tasting water, or boil it for 10 minutes and drink hot water. We'll have a nice, cool reservoir of rainwater, and rainwater tastes great. So we built this little rain catcher thing. We put some sticks in the ground, and we had this big piece of plastic that we had stuck in our coffee can, and so we put it on there. We tied little pebbles around there, and we made this rain catcher, and it was great. We put it in this clearing, and we're like, oh yeah, and we're standing there, we're admiring our work. We're like, yeah, this is great. And then it started to rain, and we're like, we don't have any shelter. So for the next 3 or 4 hours, we're just like trudging. It rained. It poured and poured and poured. Like, it dumped like crazy rain on us. And we're just sloshing through the woods, building the shelter, just getting drenched, soaking wet, right? So we're like, it didn't even matter. Like, we're building this shelter, and we're doing it super slowly because it doesn't even matter anymore because we're all soaked. So then that night, after the rain stopped, we're sitting by the fire, and we're like, we hung all of our clothes up. We're just basically sitting there in our underwear, and we hung all of our clothes up over the fire to dry them off. And we're looking over at the rain catcher. We're like, at least we got rainwater. We paid for that rainwater, man.
Nice.
But anyway, all that is just to say, when something happens to you, you can figure out how to adapt. We built the rain catcher because we thought that would be a good idea. It was a good idea. We had great tasting water the whole 3 days we were there. But we paid for it because we didn't have a shelter. So we got drenched, and we had to, it was really uncomfortable for a while, and we were cold. And so then we built a fire, and we didn't have it. It was hard to find dry wood to build a fire. But those are just little things. And it turned into this adventure that I now have this story to tell, and it's fun. We look back on it and we laugh about it. And in events like that, if you can find the joy in the challenge and solving the problem, you totally can do it. You are capable of so much more than you give yourself credit for. And I say that to you, Satura, and I say that to every single person that's listening right now. You're capable of so much more than you give yourself credit for. You can do more than you can imagine. So let yourself be challenged once in a while. Allow yourself to play that little game in your head. What would I do if this happened? And solve some problems, and you'll be amazed at what you're actually capable of when you get thrown into a situation like that. So I'm going to stop talking and turn it over to Ryan. But hopefully that was helpful for you as much as it was fun for me to tell that story. So
yeah. Hold on.
There is no holding on. I've noticed there's a whole lot of Spanish going on.
Yeah. All right. Okay. Yeah, that was actually a pretty great story. And here's the thing, like, you don't want to throw me in that position because, I mean, you can, but it's like I'll have a different story. My story would be, I said, oh, 3 days? I can survive 3 days without food. I can be wet. Yeah, that's all right. I'll just sit here the whole time. I don't have to do anything. I'm used to this. I would not like panic under 3 days without eating. I'd be like, we don't need food, guys. We don't need food. Trust me. 3 days is nothing. It's just 3 days. We don't need food. If it rains on us, we're going to be wet, but that's okay. All right, guys, just don't worry about anything. We're going to be all right, no matter what. And then everyone else will be freaking out, like, we got to go to food, man. What are you doing sitting there? You look like a blah, blah, blah. And I'll be like, guys, you're freaking out way too much. Just calm down and don't do
You know the funniest part about that whole event that happened was at the end of it, the instructor of the class, he took us to we went to Big Boy, this restaurant. They had all you can eat buffet on Sunday mornings. So we were there and it was Sunday morning and all these people were there in their Sunday church clothes. You know, they're all their Sunday best, and we come tromping in like we just spent 3 days in the woods. So we're dirty and gross and all covered in grimy stink like BO and campfire smoke, and just it's horrible. Wow. And we just tromp into the all you can eat buffet, and we just like
oh my gosh.
Those poor people that had to watch that when we showed up.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's great. Smelling ripe, as
very, very ripe, Keaton. Yes.
Nice.
Anyway, sorry, Ryan. Go ahead.
That's fun. Yeah, you know, I think what Joe's point was, it was very good. You know, I think you have your identity tied up with the internet, but you are still who you are outside of that. The important thing to know is that you are you, and you can do without your left arm, and you're still you. You can do without both arms, and you're still you. You can be just a torso sitting there, and you're still you. And you can lose your internet and still be you. And it's okay. You know, I've actually met a lot of people who their internet goes, this is interesting, but their internet goes out for a while and then they're gone for like months. And then I see them again and I'm like, hey, you know, how's it going? Good. And I'm like, where have you been? And they'd be like, well, I found out that I actually had a lot of fun in the real world outside the internet and it was more enjoyable. So I just started hanging out with real friends in real life. And that was more fun. And I was like, wow, that's awesome. I'm glad. I'm glad that you took that opportunity and turned it into something. And you might not think that that could be you, but it very easily could be you, Satura. I think that our attitude makes how we feel a lot of times. And you know, if the internet does cut out, which it probably won't, maybe it will, we don't know. But if it does, you know, if it's gone for a very long time, you'll be fine. Your main battle is in your head. You know, if you've got that feeling that you don't like yourself, you know, you hate yourself for being weak, you hate life, etc. That's in your head. That's not any situation dealing with the internet or with, what kind of resources you have or anything like that. That's a battle that's in your head. And that's going to go with you wherever you go, because wherever you go, there you are. So I think it's important to fix that one, because no matter what happens in life to you, whatever challenges you're pushed through, whatever situation, maybe you lose an arm, you know, you're still you, and you can have a good attitude and be happy. But you know, I've said this a couple of times, but how you see the world is how you'll feel living in it, you know? So if you think the world is crappy, then you're going to feel like crap living inside of it. If you think the world is awesome, then you're going to feel awesome in it. I think main thing here is just got to try to change your perspective. But how do you do that? It can be a very difficult thing to change your perspective, but it is possible. And I've had to do that hundreds of times throughout my life. And I continue to have to do that on a weekly basis. change my perspective about certain things so that I can enjoy life more, so that I don't get in my own way of how um, how much joy could be in my life, or how I understand other things around me. Um, some things when I was when I was young, I had a lot of things that would offend me, but I found out being offended by everything never made me happy. And at some point, I had to change my perspective on things, and so that I wouldn't be offended by anything. And now, um, that I mean, it's a lot easier to be happy when you're not offended by everything, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so, how do you get from there? How do you get from one perspective to another? And that's just a matter of habit. Um, your subconscious mind does a lot of thinking for you. It it decides what you think when you see something. It decides how you respond when you see something immediately. Like, let's say you see someone in the hall of some school. Okay, you're probably not in school anymore, but maybe imagine yourself in school. You see someone bullying another kid. Now you're going to have a reaction to that. That immediate reaction, the first thing that you think that comes to your mind is going to be because of your subconscious mind. It's going to be because of your habits. How do you change that? You act differently than your first thought. Let's say your first thought is, "Oh wow, I don't want to get involved." Well, that doesn't seem like it's the right thing to do. The right thing to do is kind of try to get involved and calm the situation, right? So that this other kid isn't bullied. Um, now, of course, that puts you in risk, but it's still the right thing to do. Um, so if you have that fear, like your first instinct is fear, you're like, oh geez, I don't want to get involved. I'm going to stay away from that because he's going to bully me too, probably. You know, that's the wrong perception. The way to counteract that is to go, wait a minute. No, I've had that thought, but I'm going to do the opposite. I'm going to go in there and I'm going to see what I can do to try to calm the situation and help this other kid out. Um, Now, what you've done for yourself is you've changed your initial reaction for later dates that happens, because now you have a clear memory of a time you chose something different, and that if you do that choice enough times, that will become a new habit. And your first instinct then will be to help people that are being bullied as opposed to run away. Um, and the same thing comes to how you're treating yourself, and how you think of yourself. um, whether you have whether you're really self-conscious or you have a good self-esteem or whatever. A lot of that is, what kind of thoughts are you thinking? When you think a thought, when you think a thought, um, ask yourself, do a little more thinking. Is that thought helpful to me, or is that thought the wrong thing? Because there are many times where we have feelings that aren't helping us. We have thoughts that aren't helping us. We have fears, especially, that hold us back from something more. They hold us back and hold us into this little um, kennel, if you will, of pain, of self dread. They hold us hostage to, depression, and we need to get out of that because we we are not happy there, of course. Um, and not only are we not happy there, have the um, we don't have the desire to do more with our lives. We don't have the desire to um, help ourselves or help other people as much, when we're in that position, um, because we're just down and we want to just lay there and do nothing.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a hard place to be. So you want to try to get out of that. And how do you do that? You do the opposite of what you want to do a lot of times. You do what you know is right. And whenever you do what you know is right, you're creating a new habit for yourself, a new habit for your subconscious mind that will make it easier to get out of this hold that the darkness, has on you. When um, when you when you experience an emotion you dislike, which is going to happen often, when you experience an emotion you dislike, the best thing you can do is ask yourself, do I want to feel that emotion? And the answer is going to be no. And that should be fuel enough for you to say, okay, then let's do something different. And that's what's going to get you out of it. Now, yeah, I mean, that's really the main thing there, because it's hard. I think we've all been there before. I think most of us have been, anyways. Been in that position where we're depressed and we feel, hostage to the darkness. Like life stinks and there's nothing but pain, and there's almost no reason for living because why? It's all just pain, and there's no light at the end of the tunnel, and etc. But the thing is, there is light at the end of the tunnel. There is meaning behind life. There is reason for living. There is joy in life. There's abundance of it. But you got to have the eyes to see it. When you're so focused down on a particular thing, you can't see anything but that. You get tunnel vision. And when that thing is dread, when that thing is negativity or pain, then all you experience are dread or negativity or pain. But if you can change your focus a little bit and try to find the good things in life, you'll start to notice those things a lot more. And then you'll get to actually experience those things. Because as you go through life, there are going to be tons of good things that happen and tons of bad things that happen. And those things are going to happen regardless of whether you are focusing on the good or the bad. But if you're focusing on the good, you're going to experience that good. And if you're focusing on the bad, you're going to experience the bad and the pain that comes from it. Now, there is pain in the good side as well. No matter where you focus, there's going to be pain. But that pain can be good pain. That pain can lead to something better. Pain is a beautiful thing. Sacrifice, suffering, those are beautiful things. Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of us don't like those things because they hurt, they don't feel good at first. But the thing is, we grow through that pain, right? When you work out, it's not necessarily a good feeling a lot of times, but at the end, you feel proud of yourself for working out. And you grow muscles and you get stronger. And that's the same thing with any situation in life that's bringing you pain. If you get through it, you come out on the other side a lot stronger. And you know that. Everybody knows that. I think we've all heard that before. There's a reason for everything. But here's the thing. If you're focused on the pain and you're not getting through it, then you're just going to feel the pain of it. But if you decide you want to get through it, then you can start making the actions to get through it, to learn what you need to learn to move on, to do what you need to do to move on. And then you get to reap the rewards of the pain. So you have to keep your mind open to, hey, you know what? It's okay if pain comes my way because that's an opportunity for growth. But you have to seize that opportunity. Otherwise, you just get stuck there and it's not pleasant. But, also beyond that, suffering is a beautiful thing, not just for the growth that we gain from it, but it teaches us what's valuable in life. If we never had suffering in any life ever. Now, a lot of people say if a world cannot exist that has no evil in it, because then you wouldn't appreciate the good. I don't necessarily agree with that, but I will say a world without suffering doesn't help us, because if you don't suffer, then you don't understand how good something is. For example, when we experience a death in the family or a loved one, maybe a best friend, maybe, someone really close to us, or even our pets, if they die, we feel a pain, we suffer. And the reason we do is because we can feel how valuable that person is. And it helps us to see that. And that's a good thing. That points us in a direction of what is valuable, and that you are valuable, that you're worth suffering for. As a human being, you're worth suffering for. And you suffer for yourself, the heart feels that pain, and that's a very good thing. Um, and beyond that, love. Love requires suffering. It requires pain. Because here's the thing, how do you prove that you love somebody? You're willing to suffer for them. I mean, you can say all day, hey, I love you, I love you, I love you. But they have no way to prove that unless there was something in reality that happened to be something we don't want to do, but is good for the other individual. That's the only way you can possibly prove your love, is that there's some kind of weird mechanic in reality, that there's a good thing, but it's painful and you do it anyways. Something you don't want to do, but because it's good for the other individual, you do it anyways. That's how you prove love. There's no other way beyond that to prove, because you can say, hey, I love you, but those are just words. Have you put in the time, that painful amount of time that you're like, man, I just wanted to give up on that person, like I've spent too much time dealing with their issues, have you gone to that point? That's love. Have you changed a diaper on an infant that will never even remember that you did it? In a way, that's love. That's caring for the other individual for their good. That does you no good other than maybe getting rid of a smell. But I mean, is bearable, So that's another thing. Pain, the world that we live in, is a beautiful thing. And yes, pain is a part of it. But that pain, that sacrifice that we can choose to um, partake in, is a beautiful thing. It's a gift. And even though it's a feeling that we don't necessarily enjoy, the fact that we don't enjoy it makes it all the better. So those are just a few things for you to think about. I'm sure you already know all of that, but bringing it all up in your mind hopefully will give you the motivation and encouragement to get through what you're going through right now, because you can get through it. I know you can. And I'm not just saying, I know you can. I believe in you, without knowing. Like, I know you can, because you're a human being.
Mm-hmm.
And you have a mind of a human. And I've experienced those same things. I've met a lot of people that have experienced, similar things, and they've gotten through it. And you can too. Because you were meant to. You weren't made to be unhappy. You're supposed to be happy. That's why we chase anything pretty much in life, because we want that happiness. We want to enjoy ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
So, and you can do that. You can get there. Just work on the few things. Like, go back and listen to Joe's stories. I think that could be an uplifting thing, because whatever you face in life, you can handle it. You can handle whatever you have to face in life. And here's the thing. You can handle anything in life that comes your way. And if you don't, then you're dead. And you don't have to handle it anymore. So, just handle it and don't be afraid. Because there's no point in being afraid of anything if in the end you're dead, and being afraid never helped you anyways. Right? So don't be afraid. No matter what comes your way, you can handle it. You can do whatever you need to do. You can take responsibility. You can, man up or woman up and handle it. Or you can let it stomp all over you. And, there's obviously, you don't want that. That's not helping you, right? It's not helping anybody. It's certainly, allowing that emotion to overcome you, allowing fear to overcome you. Not only does it hurt you, it hurts everyone around you, even people who aren't even tied up in the situation, because you've prevented yourself from becoming an incredible human being. You're already an incredible human being, but you've prevented yourself from that next step of growth that could encourage, uplift, strengthen, increase the people around you. So don't let other people down by being afraid. And don't let yourself down, because you're totally worth it, and you can overcome whatever your fear is. You'll find a lot of times when you face that fear, it wasn't so bad.
No.
And you know what? You feel pretty awesome too. And you're like, man, that was worth it.
Yeah.
You know, absolutely. But
The
anyways,
hardest part is always like when you're thinking about it before it actually happens. That's always the hardest part.
that's
When
the
you
worst part.
actually handle the situation, it's way easier
Mm-hmm.
than thinking about it beforehand.
Oh yeah, for sure. That's always the case. Yeah.
Yeah, so right now it's hard because you're looking at, the possibility of losing electricity and resources in your internet and losing some of your identity that's tied into the internet. You're looking at all that and thinking about how terrible it would be. That is so much harder than if it all just shut off tomorrow and you were
Mm-hmm.
forced to deal with it. You would deal with it and you would be just fine, like Ryan said. You would still be you, and you would realize, oh, well, I'll just handle it. I'll just do this and I'll do that and I'll do this. And then,
Mm-hmm.
hey, and it'll be just fine.
Yep.
And he'll be like, why was I so afraid? I know there were so many times when I was thinking about what was going to happen and what I had to do. And I was so scared. And then I did it. And then I was like, that was really kind of lame, actually. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that was anticlimactic or climactic.
yeah. I thought this was going to be like this big deal, and it turned out to not be. It was pretty
Yeah.
simple and easy. I was like, wow. But man, and some of you guys, I gotta say, Akil, Keaton, Science, Princess, you guys have been throwing some great stuff out in the chat. So, wow, it's great to see what you guys have been putting down there. A lot of inspiration coming through there. So, Satura, hopefully that's helpful for you. I would just go back and re-listen to Ryan's part if you want to actually learn something, and you can listen to my part if you want to smile and hear a cool story. But
honestly, those stories help though, because they give an example of how one person got through it, and then when they go through something similar, that is in their head, almost as a habit, as a back thought, as something that's running in their subconscious mind. It can be stories are powerful for like that. But
they can
anyway,
be.
Yeah. Did you have anything else you want to add, Joe?
No, I think you nailed it. So that's
Well,
perfect. Well, I did want to mention anybody, if you're wondering about if you can handle something, look up a guy named Dr. Sean Stevenson. I'll even type it in here. Dr. Sean Stevenson. And yeah, just look him up and find some of his material that's out there. The guy is an incredibly inspiring person. He was born with all kinds of weird deformities and stuff like that, and he's overcome so many things. So you can overcome a whole lot more than you think you can. I guarantee it. So that's pretty much what I had to say.
Thanks for tuning in, Satura. We appreciate that. Watch the streams after they're done. I'll send you a message to make sure that you know that we did yours today. But yeah, cool. Would you like to go on to the next one, Joe?
Yeah. We got a whole bunch from Akil. Akil, yep. Do you have a preference on one that you want us to do?
We got from Akil, and we also got Anna Pia's with us now too, so that's nice.
Oh yeah, but I think we did Anna's.
No, we didn't.
Wait, did we? Did I just read it and
we had to read it before? We had to read it before because it is a long one, but we never actually did it. Unless, okay, you can correct me, Princess. If did we do it or not? Or Anna, I guess, since you're here, you can correct us.
Anna, if you're here, did we do yours about your sister and I? Okay, we did not get to yours. Okay, I must have just read it.
Okay, I'll attempt to fix my audio. Hold on 1 second.
Yeah, do you want me to read that while you're fixing your audio?
Which one are we doing?
Anna's.
Oh, I mean, Akil might come first. It's up to...
Akil said I'd skip this week.
Okay.
Akil,
Then
we're always going to skip you because you tell us to, and then you're always going to write a new one.
yeah, that's true. Akil, you devious. Okay. Anyways,
but yeah, we can do honest.
You can either read the whole thing or you can summarize it. But either way, yeah. Go for it.
Yeah, I'll actually read it because it is a good story. There's a lot in here that helps to kind of give you the basis for what's happening. But here, if you guys want to read along, there it is. Akil says, "That's life. It keeps going." Yes. It does keep going. It keeps going. New stuff comes up all the time. And yes.
Cool. All right, I'm back. Hopefully my voice is better.
All right. Well, here is Anna's My Sister and I. My mom raised all 3 of her kids to be nice, kind, and honest. And from the age of 7, my brother, who is the oldest, would tell me that I was super nice and helpful, but I should also look after myself and not overdo it. He would tell me these things because he said that he knows I'm trying to be nice, but people can take advantage of someone's kindness, and he didn't want that to happen to me. Now that I'm 18, I never would have expected my older sister to be the first one to abuse my kindness. I was being used by my sister, who's 21 and 3 years older than me, but now we are having the worst fight we ever had. My sister's name is Sarah. She's in a relationship with a guy we will call Sam. Sarah and I are really close. She's like my second mother and best friend, and I tell her everything because she's always there for me. A few months ago, she met Sam through her friend, and they started texting each other a lot. Sarah would tell me the conversations she had with him because she said that he was really sweet to her. But when she allowed me to read the conversations, I got a lot of red flags, and I didn't think this guy was good enough for her. When I told this to Sarah, she got angry and started saying that I had no right to tell her my opinion on the people she likes because I can't even develop a crush on people. So I wouldn't know what a loving person is like. I felt bad that I was so quick to judge Sam without even meeting him, but the way he texted my sister was unsettling. I apologized and told her why I felt uneasy about the guy, but she then ignored me. This was the first time Sarah stopped talking to me from anger, so I didn't know what to do. A few days later, we talked the misunderstanding out and hugged. And during our hug, she told me that she's glad we made up because she agreed to date Sam and I needed to talk about how it happened to me. Sarah said she had no intention on informing our parents about him. This was bad because in my family, if we want to be in a relationship with anyone, there's a traditional procedure that you spend a month of talking and getting to know each other before you can date. This was the first time my sister didn't do this with a boy she was interested in. Sarah made me introduce myself to her boyfriend on FaceTime, and from then on, I really did not like the guy. When Sarah and Sam went on dates, my sister would lie to my mom and tell her that she's taking me to the mall, so we might be home late. But in reality, my sister forced me to the mall and abandoned me so she can be with Sam. I don't like being left alone, so being abandoned in a mall with no one I know is scary, and I'm terrified that I'll be an easy target to kidnap because I'm alone. So I get super paranoid and try to talk with people on the Discord server to stay calm and not cry, but my data can only last for so long. Once the mall closes, Sarah picks me up and drives back to Sam's house, where a group of Sam's friends are playing games and talking very inappropriately. The people in that house scare me, so I always stay far away and blast music on my headphones to not think of the place I'm in. Once Sarah decides to leave, she makes up a story in the car that I have to tell my mom, but I feel bad that I'm lying to her for my sister's sake. I didn't want to lie and be placed in uncomfortable situations anymore. I don't want to be used by my older sister. I think she knows that my parents won't approve of Sam for the same reasons I do. But every time I tell her to let our parents meet Sam, she doesn't want to let me talk and starts using the fact that I never had my first kiss, a love confession, or boyfriend as a factor to bully me. She even called me ugly and said that I should keep my hair long so I can hide my face. So after a month, I realized I'm being too nice about the situation and yelled at her saying that at least I wasn't lying about a hidden relationship to her own family. I yelled, saying how I felt used because I was being forced to be alone in a place that scares me for hours and being forced and bullied to lie to our mother for her sake. I never yelled at Sarah before, so she just walked out of our room. She worked in a few hours, but then once she left, she went missing for 23 hours. She came back home eventually, but she acted like nothing was wrong and wouldn't tell our parents where she was. Now I feel like I should tell my parents about Sarah's boyfriend because I don't think it's a good relationship. Because of it, my sister is being more distant from our family, acting different, and even bullying me. Is telling the right thing? And what if Sarah hates me if I do? She's my only sister. And that's from Anna. Anna, my goodness, what a predicament.
Yeah.
That, wow.
That's it. Like Joe said, that's actually like a really good story. That was really well written.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's why I had read through it before because I knew that it was a little bit lengthy, and I was like, there's no way to just boil this down to something because there's so much packed in there that's important to the story. So
Yeah,
it really is it really is packed in together well. So good job, Anna. And Ryan, what are your first thoughts on this?
Yeah. Yeah, this is a situation because there's many times in life where we have friends or family, and it's like, don't rat them out, don't spoil, don't do that, because not only do you want to not hurt your friendship, you don't want to see them hurt more. I think a lot of times the reason we don't want to rat people out is because we don't want to see them have to suffer through the course of judgment. Um, but also because we don't want to lose our relationship with them. We don't want to be the one that, tattled. And so I think pretty much a lot of people could relate to that. Kind of being forced to do some things that, aren't good, to keep someone's not good secret a secret. It's a bad place to be in. And of course, no one no one wants you to be there. I think there's a couple of things we can talk about here. One thing is what your sister was doing. Obviously that's not right. Um, it was very nice of you and generous of you, very giving of you to go through that whole experience. For example, being left alone at the mall for several hours and etc. And then have to go to the house and kind of sit there in an awkward environment, a scary environment, alone to yourself, etc. I can relate to that. That's a very familiar feeling to me. And doing that for your sister was nice, and that's not a bad thing. The fact that you did that was giving, was loving, etc. Because you went through that as a sacrifice, basically, to your sister. But unfortunately, your sister doesn't seem like she's reciprocated the act. She's not being honest with her parents. She's not being kind to you. She's not being honest with you. Here's the thing that your sister's going through. She has an emotional high, if you will, an obsession with this person named Sam. That was what we'll call him. She has an emotional high for her boyfriend. And that emotional high, that certain kind of obsession, is a lot of what people call in love. It's not really love, but it is a very powerful and strong feeling that can coincide with love, but it itself is not love. It's just a very powerful feeling. That feeling can unfortunately drive all of our actions if we allow it to. So when you experience this feeling, it might cause you to do bad things in order to continue that feeling, in order to chase that feeling. It might also cause you to do really good things. There are people who fall in love and they want to impress the one that they love, and they start to grow as a person because they know they have the emotional strength now and the motivation to start doing things that are good and right, and they want to be a good person for their significant other, right? That can be a very good thing. um but also, like I said before, you have that risk of also being so compelled by these emotions to do terrible things that you wouldn't normally do. Um, one, for example, is being very, or basically how she treated you, right? Um, that was probably not like her. That's not what she normally is like. That's not like what she was like before she met Sam. She probably wouldn't have done those things. She probably wouldn't have called you ugly and those terrible things. Um, And that's just because she has this very powerful emotion that she believes is love. Um, you know, for me, if I was being bullied by someone saying, you never had your first kiss or blah blah blah, I'd be like, that's right. That's something to be proud of. You can't make fun of me for that because that's awesome, right? Way to go, is what I would have to say is way to go that you haven't had your first kiss. That's awesome. Save it, you know, use it at the right time. That's
Mhm.
awesome. I haven't had my first kiss. If someone said, "Oh, you blah, 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 haven't had a first kiss," I'd be like, "Dang straight," and I'm gonna hold that over you. Like, I didn't waste it, you know? So, it's kinda like someone trying to make fun of me for learning how to play the piano. Like, "Ha you learned how to play the piano." I was like, "Yeah." Is that it? You trying to insult me? Like, what? So, don't let her words get to you. And you're not ugly. So don't let her words get to you. She's only speaking out of emotion, not out of truth, not of what she really understands, not out of logic, but purely out of trying to chase this emotion.
Mhm.
Um, because the emotion feels really good, but it's just an emotion and it fades with time. It isn't love. Um, and that's the sad thing. So, what do you do in all of this situation? But I told you that part because I want you to have some confidence in yourself, um, and to understand what she's going through and why she's doing the things she's doing. So you can understand when she does these things, you can be like maybe a little bit more forgiving and understanding, but also above it, saying, okay, I'm not going to do those things for you. I know that you're only chasing this emotion. Like I don't need to, I don't need to put myself through pain to encourage you to do more bad things.
Mm.
Right.
Mhm.
That's a bad idea. You don't
Right.
want to put yourself through pain to encourage bad behavior. You don't, when you have a very young child, let's say you're raising a child, okay? No, Anapi, you're not raising a child, but let's say you're raising a child, okay? They're going to do bad things. Children do terrible, stupid stuff. They don't know any better, right? And you can either scold them or you can like when they do something bad, you can be like, "Oh, here, have some candy." What will teach the kid to do bad things or good things? I mean, it's obvious. If the kid does a bad thing and you scare them or you scold them or you make them feel bad, they're not going to want to do those bad things anymore.
Mhm.
But if yeah, like raising a puppy. Exactly, Anna. Yes, like raising a puppy. But if the puppy or the child does good things, you can be good to them. And it's not like you're doing it out of anger. I think that's one important thing is that a parent for sure has to learn, but even someone who's raising a puppy or whatever, is that you don't act out of anger. Your child does something wrong. It's not like, oh, that makes me so angry. Now I'm going to punish them. No, it's more like, oh, that's not good for them to be doing that. I need to correct this behavior before this becomes a habit,
Mhm.
before they start doing this and thinking that's a good thing. You know, you yell at your child when they are about to put their hand on the stove, not because they're doing an evil thing, but because you want to protect them.
Mhm.
And the same thing applies for your sister. When your sister is doing something that's not right, helping her do those things is not going to get her to stop. When your sister is saying, hey, I'm going to hide this information from my family, and you go along with it, but then you tell her, you should really tell them, she's not going to tell them, because your actions speak louder than your words. You've already given her, you've helped aid her in her secret. And so you've kind of encouraged her to keep it. Unknowingly, that's not what you were trying to do. You were trying to be a good person, and that's good. But basically, I'm just trying to explain the situation and how to correct it. So now you have a sister who's doing these bad things. What's the appropriate action? If you want the best for your sister, which you do, you love your sister, you want the best for her. That's why, you're afraid of telling on her, because you don't want to lose that relationship with her, because you love her. But when your sister is doing something that is inappropriate, what's better? To scold her for it, or to help her do it? Obviously, you don't want her to do things that are bad for her or for other people around her. So you kind of have to toughen up and roughen up and be like, no, I'm not going to do those things for you. No, those are bad things, and I'm not going to encourage you. And though that might feel mean, that's actually loving. There's a such thing as tough love, because you want the best for them. You're willing to put the relationship through a little bit of pain, but that pain is to increase the relationship and increase the person. That's how it goes. So you have an option. You can tell your parents, or you can let her tell them. But one thing I would do for sure is don't go along with her schemes anymore, because they're bad for her. Even if you're trying to be nice, you can be nice and say, no, I don't want to do that because I don't think that's right. And so you'll just have to figure that out on your own. You can still be nice. But if she gets upset at you, understand the reason she's upset at you is because her emotions are in a wild funk. And it's kind of controlling her logic side of the mind. It's controlling her actions. And so you have to wade this out, if you will. These emotions will fade with time. And in time, she will come to realize the errors of her ways. Okay. And you just have to stick through and be a good person, hopefully helping her along the way. And that's kind of all I've got for right now. But let's see. I'd like to see what Joe has to say on the topic.
Well, first of all, there's a lot of layers in here, and it's quite a situation. But I think Ryan really nailed it when he was saying, you're basically what you got to look at it as what's good for your sister. While yes, it's not good for you to go along and to be in an environment where it's not safe for you to be, or it's uncomfortable for you to be. And for, like, when you were taken to the mall and to Sam's friend's house and all that situation was totally bad for you. But this whole big encompassing situation is bad for your sister, because really there's a relationship, like what Ryan was saying, there's based on an emotional high. It's not based on love, and it's not even based on truth, because she has to lie about it. And anytime you're doing something that you have to lie about, there's probably something wrong with it. I ask myself that question from time to time, when I'm doing something, and like, is this something that I would be able to be upfront with people I care about with? Am I doing this? Would I be okay sharing this with everybody? And if not, then the question is, why do I want to do this? You know, like,
yeah, absolutely.
Because if you're going to go down a path based on lies, there's really probably something wrong with it, and it's just going to hurt a lot of people. Now, here's the thing. You're 18, your sister's 21. So, I mean, really, you're at the age where, you know, you probably ought to experience bearing the responsibility for some decisions. So now your sister, I mean, she's 21. So, I mean, as much as it is where she should be acting a certain way, she's also at an age where maybe she has a little bit more freedom where she can try and live her life in certain ways and see how that works. I would say, having been down this road before, building a relationship based on lies always ends in trouble. It always, I mean, maybe the relationship won't end. Maybe it'll go on, but there's going to be a time of immense pain for everybody involved to get through from the situation where all the lies are to the point where the truth is out, because the truth is going to come out. You won't have to expose the truth, Anna. It will come out eventually at some point in some way. And the longer the lies go, it seems like the more pain is going to be when the truth finally starts to come out, and it's just going to hurt people more. So what Ryan said was exactly right on. Your job in this situation would be to love your sister, want what's best for her, and you already do that. So you're already doing that part of it. But then the next step is, don't be a party to the situation that's going on. And, you know, you asked the question at the end, would telling your parents about the situation, would that be the right thing? And what if your sister hates you if you do? I don't, you know, if your sister hates you because you want to expose truth, then, you know, that's basically because something in her thinking has gone corrupt. And she doesn't want the truth to come out, so she would be angry at you. I would expect an emotional response. Anna updates here. I just get worried because she still lives with us. I don't know how my parents will react to this lie because they can kick her out. Yeah, that's true. They can. And really, that's not up to you. And I don't think it's really up to you to tell. But I would say, you know, if your sister keeps pressuring you to do things to hide the situation or to be a part of the situation, be part of the cover up, if you will, to be the scapegoat for different things and to, you know, to be part of the lie, then at that point, you know, there's a couple things you can do. For one, the hardest part for all this is going to not get sucked into the emotion of the situation, because it sounds like it's already been emotional. There's already been anger flying around back and forth. There's already some kind of biting back and forth going on. So the hard part for you in this situation is going to be not getting sucked into the emotion, where you will need to remain calm, understand you have the truth on your side. So because you're standing for the truth, you're in the right, because there's truth where you're standing. And on the other side, it's a lie. So for that's one thing. But you don't have to tell your mom. You don't have to tell your parents. But if she comes and asks you to be a part of it, your job then would be to say, no, I don't feel comfortable being a part of this because it's all based on lies. And then you can turn the question around and say to your sister, why don't you want to tell mom and dad about Sam? And just ask the question. And you can ask it lovingly. You can ask it in a caring voice. It's like, you know, You could say like, I'm really concerned about you in this situation, and I wonder why, if this situation seems so good, why don't you want to tell mom and dad about Sam? Why don't you want to tell them about what's going on here? Why do we have to build all this on lies? Why is it all lies? Why can't we just be honest about the situation? And your sister she probably have to backpedal a little bit because, like they didn't do the 21-day period or whatever of talking. What was it? A month? Okay, a month of talking and getting to know each other before you can date. So they've already skipped past that. They already just went straight into dating. So she would probably have to apologize if that was a rule that her parents set out. She'd probably have to apologize to your parents for not following that rule and starting this relationship without going through that time period first. But she's 21. I mean, she's a big girl. There comes a point in our time in our lives when we got to be responsible for that. And if your parents get to the point where they would kick her out over that, then I mean that would be a tough situation, but that's a decision that is your sister's to make. But your decision in this situation is whether or not you're going to go along with the lie. And the right thing is to stand for the truth, but you don't have to expose the truth to your parents. Really, that's your sister's job. That's not your job. But what you can do as a sister is you can love her, and you can, imagine like, first of all, she's caught up in this emotion, like Ryan was saying. And that's really tough. That she's kind of blinded by this emotion. It's kind of taking over a little bit, and it's causing her to do all kinds of crazy stuff. So because you love your sister, the proper response is to feel pity. Say, oh my gosh, this is so hard for her. You don't have to say it to your sister, but just in your head, think this through. This is really hard situation. She's in this emotional high feeling of this in love feeling, which, like Ryan was talking about, it's more of an obsession or more of an addiction, really. It's kind of more based in that than actual real love, because real love doesn't have to lie. Right? So she's in that situation. So she's blinded by that. And then she's gone along with it far enough to know she's broken a rule, and to know that, she's in this kind of situation with her parents. She can't really say anything because she's afraid she might get kicked out, which is a legitimate fear. But now she's also gone far enough with Sam, and she might be involved with Sam and his friends and all this kind of stuff. And in that crowd, that if she does something to change that, she risks losing what she's attached to there. So she's really kind of torn between family and then the situation that she's built. And so, like, feeling like if she can just maintain both, it'll be okay. But eventually the truth comes out, and it's going to be hard. So, for you, if you can be there emotionally for your sister while not getting involved in the lie, that would be the best place for you to be as a sister. Because you don't have to tell your parents. You don't have to, be the person that's a tattletale or feel like that. But if your sister's pressuring you to be involved in this situation and to be used in this situation, you absolutely have a right to ask, why do we have to lie about this situation to mom and dad? I don't want to lie to mom and dad. I don't want to be involved in something that's not true. And I'm not going to be. But And if she gets mad at you, she gets mad at you, come what may. I mean, sounds like you're already kind of dealing with that a little bit anyway. You guys are already kind of going back and forth and fighting a little bit anyway. I remember getting into that type of situation with the close relationship where it was like, no matter what I do, I'm going to make this person angry. So I might as well just stand for the truth, because at least I know I'm standing for the right thing, because they're going to be mad anyway. So sometimes you get to that point where it's like, you know what? This person's going to be mad at me anyway. No matter what I do, they're going to be mad at me. And they're going to treat me like dirt anyway. So I might as well be on the side of the truth. And that then when you start living that way, then a lot of things can clear up, and you can be like, all right, now I can really feel compassion for this person who's off track. I really do feel compassion for your sister, because she's in a tough spot.
Oh yeah.
Between that, I have been where your sister is, and I've been where you are, and neither place is easy, because I know what's coming for your sister, because I know what happened to me. Anytime you have relationship situations that are based on lies, it comes crumbling down like crazy. Like when the truth comes out, it just shatters. And there's pain, and it hurts, and it's difficult, and it's hard. And all because we chased this addictive, obsessive feeling that we had for a while that fades away incidentally. It does not last. Your sister will come to her senses eventually. Because that in love,
she is when she does.
Yeah, that feeling does not last forever. And it's funny because sometimes people go and they get married while they're in that feeling, that obsessive feeling. And then all of a sudden it fades, because it always will. And then they're stuck, they're married, and maybe they have some kids. And now what do we do? Well, these days they just get divorced. But that's not good for the kids. That's not loving for the kids or for the adults, for anybody. Divorce is painful all around for everybody. But I mean, that's totally a whole different topic. But I'm just saying that's kind of where things can get to in these type of situations. So Ryan, please take it away from me before I go much further, because I'm going to take us off into a tangent.
No, it's totally acceptable, and for sure. There was one thought that I had. Now I don't remember what it was though, because I mean, what you were talking about is so right and so true. But yeah. Oh, I would say, oh yeah, I guess the one last thing I would say is this. You can go to your sister, or whenever she approaches you, you can say, look, I am not going to tell our parents about this. It's up for you to decide. You can if you want to. There's nothing wrong with telling your parents. But it's better for her to be the one to tell them for her own sake.
Yes.
And for her parents' sake.
Yes.
So what I would do is say, look, I'm not going to tell our parents what you're doing, but I hope sometime soon you will. And I'm not going to be involved with being your scapegoat or whatever you want to say there anymore. That's what I would say to them. Say, look, until you tell your parents, I'm not going to be involved with what you've got going on. I'm not going to tell them. I promise. I'm not. Because that's for you to do. And if you have that honest, grown-up conversation with them, that'll put the pressure on them, and they can't pressure you anymore. And they, they can still yell at you, but again, like Joe said, try not to get caught up in the emotions, because the emotions are very intense. And
try and keep your cool if you can.
Yeah, they're not leading anybody to the right path. If they are controlling, So, anyways, I hope that helps, Anapi. Did you have anything you want to add to that, Joe?
No, I think what you said there at the end really tied it together good, because that, there always is the option to tell your parents, but like Ryan was saying, it's gonna be way better for her and for everybody if
And
she
you can tell her that.
Mm-hmm.
I would say that to her. I say, "Look, I'm not going
Yeah.
to tell our parents because it's going to be way better for you to tell them than me.
Right.
And I want what's best for you. But I also
Right.
don't want you to be caught in this lie. It's not good for you." And
Right.
she might go ranting off like crazy on you after you say that. Expect that. But
Yeah.
if she doesn't, awesome. But if she does, just understand she's kind of in a situation. It's hard to control herself. And you know what? Your words still got through. She'll
Mm-hmm.
think about it in her alone time sometime later. Maybe when she's
Mm-hmm.
driving in her car, to go see Sam, those words will be in her head and she'll think about them.
Yeah. We really,
That's for the most part.
I have so much trouble having the foresight for what you were just describing there, Ryan. The going like I always will say something and then deal with the response in the moment, and I have a really hard time remembering that they're gonna think about this in the quiet moments later, because that totally happens. That happened with
It
me
does. That
a
happened with
lot
me.
of times, where I would have an explosive response to somebody would say something, I didn't like what they said, and I blew up at them. But then an hour later, I was calmed down and I was sitting there thinking, and it was really starting to impact me. And then like a year later, what they said in that moment that I blew up about and made them probably think that I was totally rejecting it, my whole my whole life might adjust based on that one comment because I took the time to think about it later. So
Yeah. Yeah,
yeah.
I know I've done that. My brother, I think I've learned a lot through example of my brother. I mean, we've definitely had those conversations where, he's trying to correct me on something and I just blow up on him. And then, later
You
I think
blow up
about,
like crazy too. You're like an
yeah,
atomic
I'm
bomb.
like, yeah, dude, more like, no, when I blow up, it's different. It's like, no,
It's like a
it's,
balloon
it's
going.
all, it's all contained. It's all, it's like a balloon, or no, it's like an implosion rather than an explosion. I just like, no, I don't know. Ryan is the bomber. Nice.
Yes, now we know. Now you don't have to listen to the Criminal Idol
Yeah,
series
now you don't
anymore.
have to
You know
listen to it all.
Ryan's the
You already know.
bomber.
I just squint. Ugh. No, and I know that that's been the other way around too. Times that, I think there's been more times where my brother's tried to correct me than I've corrected him. But maybe there are times where I've tried to correct him and he's thought about it later, and we
The problem is your
talk
brother's
about it.
so smart.
Yeah, I know he's hard to correct when he's so
So
smart,
yeah,
right?
because he's usually right.
Yeah, he's usually right. That's the problem. That's the problem there. I can never one up him there. He's just got everything right. And I'm like, darn it. When am I ever gonna get the chance to tell him something new? Every time I'm like, hey, I learned this thing. Kyle's like, yeah, I know. Shut up, then.
Like, dang it.
Why are you even talking to me? So like, yeah, get out of here.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, thank you, Anna, for that topic. That was really a really important one to handle, and I'm really glad that we got to it today.
Yeah.
And I was like, I really feel like I had talked about this, but what I had done was I had read it, and I had kind of thought about it a lot, and I thought about what I was going to say, and so yeah, that was yeah.
That's fair. Yeah. Yep.
So I
Yeah.
think we got time for another one here.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you, Anna. So let's see. We've got Akil keeps saying he doesn't want us to handle his. One of these days
We've got Akil. We've got Akil. We've got Akil. We got 4 Akils.
We got 4 Akils, and Akil says we got Kendra.
We've got Kendra, and is Sept still here? Actually, we've got Sept
still here.
Okay. Well, I guess Kendra comes before Sept, though. Sept is
objection. Cherry says objection.
Objection. One. Yeah. Perfect.
We should do it.
Just like I talked the other day. You did it right, Cherry. You did it right.
That's amazing. Oh, there's only 2. You removed 2? We still have them on our list, Akil.
Oh, okay. Both of them.
Don't Worry Wednesday, Akil edition. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll do a Don't Worry Wednesday Akil edition, I guess, huh?
Yeah. We'll do it on a Sunday at 2 a.m. or something.
Sunday, 2 a.m. Akil will be there. Cool. Well, we can do. Did we do Kendra's?
We have not done Kendra's.
Oh, okay. Well, would you like to do that one then?
We can do Kendra's.
All right.
Kendra says no. Why do you? What? Oh my gosh.
Kendra, don't you dare. Okay. Yes. All right.
Oh,
okay.
Okay, cool.
All right. Kendra, this is called Depressed and Undeserving. It's posted by Kendra. They wrote this. First off, I want to thank you guys once more. I am so happy to have met you. You guys have given me so much that I needed to hear. Anyways, this week has been hard for me. I have been depressed and crying and feel like I don't deserve to be loved, that I don't deserve to have what I have. My friends have made me laugh and smile to make me try and forget it. But it keeps coming back, and I have prayed to God. Every time I pray, I cry. And every time someone tells me that they love me, I am so kind, or that I am so kind, caring, and loving, and that they really love me, I cry. I can't help but cry because I feel like I don't deserve those words. I think it's probably in my anxiety for classes that worry that I have let everyone down with my decisions for what I am doing for the majority, for my major, and that I am failing myself. I feel tired every day now, and I don't know what to do. I feel weak for crying, but I know I am strong. That is what my friends tell me. I don't know. Please help. Thank you, Kendra. And sorry for my poor reading, but we got through it.
Wow.
So yeah.
Kendra, you do have there's a response from Keaton on there too.
Oh, that's good
to read too.
Yeah,
Keaton, let me just say that you're awesome with the responses you've had for people. Your heart is made of gold.
Yes, the best kind of gold.
The best kind of gold, yes.
Yeah, not the worst kind. The best kind of gold is what your heart is made out of, to be cherished, and it just shines brightly, and any sun that hits it reflects it like at 90% velocity, and it's just like, wow, so radiant with beauty. And Kendra, or Keaton, you're beautiful, you're amazing. So is Kendra. There's also a reply from Chicken Hale. So
yeah,
check that out too, Kendra. I'm sure you probably already have, since you posted this on the 22nd, and it's been a few days since then.
And she reacted to it, so yes. So she's.
Oh, yes. Okay, perfect. Yeah.
But anyway, awesome. So this is all old news to you that you've had people responding to your post. So
okay,
now it's our turn to respond to your post. And
not gonna do it.
Wow. So first of all, Kendra, thank you. Thank you for opening yourself up and allowing yourself to be vulnerable on this show, because it takes guts to do that. And I know I have said that before for a lot of people, and I mean it every single time, because it does. You know,
it really does. It does.
To let out something that, you know, that's bothering you in your heart, to have the courage and humility to post it somewhere where lots and lots of people have the opportunity to read it and put it where people can where people can talk about it. That's absolutely incredible, and thank you so much for having the courage to do that. First of all, I'm going to let Ryan go through his part on deserve, because he handles that so well. But I'm gonna go first. But so I'm not gonna try and explain the deserve paradox.
Oh well, whatever. You just save it. Just save it for later, and I'll talk about it later, man.
I know, that's the thing.
Kendra, you've heard it many times before. We don't talk about deserve on this channel. No, we talk about it, but we don't put our faith in it. We don't believe in it, because deserve. I mean, you don't deserve to exist, but you do. You didn't do anything to deserve to exist. But before you could even do anything, you existed. Mm-hmm. You didn't deserve that your parents fed you when you were a child. That's out of their love and out of their kindness of their heart. Because you know what? It's not easy to feed a child. You know what? If you breastfeed them, they bite you sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
And it's
it didn't happen to me, but I witnessed it.
Happened to me, but just kidding, obviously. Oh my. No, but I mean, that's like, what does the child do to deserve to get fed, to get shelter, to get brought up into the world? Nothing. And it doesn't even give anything back. It can't. It's an infant. It can't even control itself. And so throughout your whole life, to deserve something makes no sense, because in reality, we have something called love. And love is not something you earn. And it's not something somebody else earns from you. It's not something somebody deserves from you. But you give it anyways. When someone does something wrong to you, you can still love them. And you say they don't deserve that. Yeah. But love is not something that can be deserved. It's unconditional. So you might not feel like you deserve love, but how you feel is irrelevant to the reality that love goes beyond deserve, because love can never be earned. It can never be deserved. But anyhow, I'm going to go. I'm going to be quiet and still and let Joe talk about some stuff.
Yeah, be absolutely still. I don't want to see any movement. Actually, don't do that, because then I'll feel like your camera's frozen and I'll be like, Ryan. There. Okay, thanks for moving your eyes. Right. No, but I'm glad Ryan took the time to go through that, because the truth is, we don't deserve what we have. We don't deserve our friends. We don't deserve their care. We don't deserve the kind words that our friends give us. We don't deserve any of it. But it's there and it's beautiful. And, you can take that and turn it to the bad things. We don't deserve what we've been dealt with, what we've been dealt that is bad. We don't deserve to be stuck in bad relationships. We don't deserve to be in broken relationships. We don't deserve to have gone through heartbreak. We don't deserve to have gone through failure. We don't deserve any of that. But it happened. And, the bad things are allowed to happen because a greater good comes that never would have existed without that bad thing happening. If we didn't fail, then our success would not be as sweet. If we didn't try and try and try and struggle and fail and try and struggle and fail and try and struggle and fail and try and try and try again and keep trying and struggle and fail over and over and over again, by the time we succeeded, it would be cheap. But because we failed and tried so hard and tried so many things and went through all of that, the success we have at the end of that is so valuable and so fulfilling and so exciting, simply because of the failures and the hard times. And you talked about prayer in here, so I will talk about prayer. I have spent a lot of time recently praying and crying. And it's a weird thing. There's kind of like a weird phase going on in my life. I'm just going to open up a little bit and share a little personal, maybe religious-ish stuff. I apologize if it offends anybody. But what I've been finding out is there have just been challenges hitting just one after another. And it's been, like, what is going on here? And I pray and I cry, and because I'm at my wit's end on a lot of things, and I'm like, I don't know what to do. I feel like I should be posting things on Don't Worry Wednesday, Don't be surprised if all of a sudden anonymous things show up and it's me. Like,
nice. And then you give yourself advice. I love it.
I'll give myself advice.
I love it.
But there have been a lot of times when I've been praying, and I don't always get responses. There have been times, I mean, those of you who pray a lot, I'm sure every once in a while you get kind of a zap of insight. At least that's kind of how it happens for me. Just a little bit of insight there, and it's like a response. And it was weird because all these things are happening. There's all these challenges that just seem to get harder and harder. And just when I thought I was getting things fixed, it all falls apart again, and I got to pick up the pieces again and get back up. And so I pray and I cry. I'm like, why? How long is this going to happen? What do I got to do? Like, my gosh, I'm trying everything I possibly can. And the zapped response was, I need you to rely on me because things are about to get crazy. And in the moment, I was like, oh, that's crazy good. Like, things are going to get crazy. Like, they're going to go crazy awesome. And I was like, wait, crazy could mean crazy bad. Like, I need you to rely on me because things are about to get ugly, crazy. And then I was like, so which do you mean? And then silence. Because he's not going to tell me good or bad. He's just like, hey, it's about to get nuts. I need you to rely on me. Like, okay. So then in those moments, and I very rarely get those little insights, but when they happen, they're pretty powerful. But what I've discovered is that prayer, I had been going about prayer all wrong, because I was asking, like, please help me through the situation. Please help me. Like, I'm going through this time and it's so hard. Please help me. And that's me praying, asking God for something. And what I needed to do instead was pray and offer myself to God rather than ask God to give me something. I needed to give God me and offer me to God, and then relinquish control. You know what? Your will be done. And it's not up to me. I understand the universe is going to go, the world is going to spin, and lots of people are going to have all kinds of issues. And I'm this one little tiny, teeny, tiny little blip on the scope of human history. And yet all my issues and challenges seems like such a big deal. But maybe my part to play in the history of human history will be much greater if I go along with the plan that's been laid out. And I say, you know what? I'm going to do my job. What's my job? What do I do? Send it. Bring it, if you will. But then when that happens, there's peace, because it's like, I don't have to come up with the answer. I don't have to struggle, and I don't have to like stress myself out, because it's handled. I just make myself available to God's plan. So there's my religious segment, and I'm going to turn it over to Ryan, and he can expound.
What's your non-religious segment? Yeah, no, I really like that you touched on that. How you pray is very important. If you're a person of prayer, I think, there's many different ways to pray. And sometimes, here's the thing, like it's okay to ask for help. That's a good thing. Joe wasn't saying that that's a bad thing. It's good to pray about the things you're suffering through. But having a conversation that is more open-ended to a response, or just kind of going through the problems in your head and trying to figure them out while in prayer does a lot. And it can open you up for insight that Joe was talking about. But yeah, prayer is an interesting thing. One thing that I was actually going to recommend that has something to do with this um, is this. And I had actually recently recommended this to Senna, if you know Senna. And I was surprised because Senna is a very shy person and she doesn't like going into public, but she actually listened to what I had suggested and I was very proud of her for it. And I think she was very glad that she did what I suggested. And that is this. Usually I wouldn't recommend this, but Kendra, since you're a person of faith, I'm going to recommend this. There are churches that are open for you to come in, sit down by yourself, and pray in peace. If you have a lot going on in your life, if you have a lot of things that are stressing you out, or if if you're stressing yourself out, if you, and in your case where you feel loved or you don't feel loved, or sorry, you don't feel loved or you feel loved, but you feel like you don't deserve it. I think best thing I can recommend to you as a word of advice is, now I know that there are Catholic churches that are open for people to just come in, sit down. I don't know about other sects.
Yeah, mostly you're gonna find that in Catholicism or maybe Orthodox.
Okay. But you can Google that wherever you live. I don't know where you live. I helped Senna find hers, but wherever you live, look online for churches that are open. And then you can call them. I know that might be stressful, but you can call them and say, hey, do you have a time where I can just come in, that a service isn't being held and I can just sit in peace? And they'll be glad to let you know. Go in there and just sit down for 15 minutes. That's all I ask. Now, you can sit down longer if you feel like it. Senna actually ended up sitting down there for like 2 hours or something. And then she sat through an entire mass. And I was like, wow, that's amazing. But anyways, yeah, you need peace in your life. And those people, you need peace in your life outside of your bed. Okay. Period. If you can find a church to go to and sit down and just be at peace, it'll help clear your mind, put your mind in the right order for the right thinking so that the right messages can get in and affect you. Like really affect you. Not just, sometimes we get in this position where we can hear encouraging words or whatever, and we feel uplifted for a time, and then that goes down. And then we have to, ride that roller coaster up and down, hearing something good, being motivated, doing something. And then when that motivation ends, we get into this pit. And that's, that's a lot of how people's lives go. But we need something that in our lives, everybody needs something in their lives that's persistent, that pierces through life and reality, that permeates through the stressful times, that keeps us up. Because we'll all have those roller coasters, but if we have a bottom line, if we, we'll have those roller coasters, but the roller coaster stops at the bottom line. If we can set the bottom line high, then the downs won't be so down, right? What is it that moves that bottom line up? And that is understanding purpose and living that purpose. Understanding the reality you're in and that you are loved, period. If you can spend just 15 minutes a week in silence in the setting of a church, and I say a church because the church is going to be calm, you're going to know you're in the presence of God, and you're going to be at peace, and it's not going to be like you're sitting in silence in your room where you've got distractions all around you, or sitting in silence. You can sit in silence at an airport, okay, but that's, still not quite the same, right? There's distractions all around you. So my suggestion is this: find your way into a church you can just sit in and just bask in the presence of the Lord and be at peace. And then think, pray. That's my best recommendation. And I'm sure Joe could amplify with by example how much good that can do.
Mm.
Um,
It is quite amazing, yes.
yeah. Um,
But yes, call them first, because a lot of times they'll it'll, like, the main front doors might not be unlocked, but like
yeah.
a side door will be, and so they'll be able to tell you, like you can call them and ask them. And I see your post on here. You go to my church, or you said I would go to my church, but everyone knows everyone since I live in such a small town. Yes, I totally understand that aspect. And so when I was going through some of this, and I decided that that's what I needed to do, was to find a quiet place to pray. This started like a few years ago. When I started to do that, I went to the next town. The next town is only like 10 or 15 miles away. But that's the one I went to, because, yeah, I didn't want to run into people I knew.
So you would drive 15 miles, or did you say 15 miles or 15 minutes? That's
It's like 10 miles probably. So
okay.
like it's like a 15-minute drive.
Okay, so you
Um,
would drive 15 minutes to go to a church that you knew no one would know you at, which
mhm,
is an okay place to start. And
mhm,
besides, that's actually a good place to start when you're trying to be at peace and have no one bother you. So, you're
right.
in a position where it's like people are coming up to you like, "Oh my gosh, what are you doing here?" You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, is everything all right?
Yeah.
You know?
You want to talk about it? No, I don't want to talk about it. I want to sit here in silence. You're
Yeah.
disrupting my silence, but then you sound rude.
Yeah. You disrupted my silence. Silence.
Yes. Yeah,
Um,
there you go. There's a good answer. You could go to the church that's near your college. Yep,
there you go.
absolutely. But like Ryan was saying, that can be such a huge thing, because you're kind of, when you're there, you're kind of, the rest of the world is kind of set apart from you, you know.
Mhm.
And yeah, so sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, Ryan.
Oh, no, no, I encouraged that, so that was good. Thank you. But yeah, I just wanted to amplify that point because that can be, like I said, you need something in your life that will set the bottom line higher. Something that so you need something in your life so that when the downs come, you understand everything's okay. Because in the grand scheme of things, everything's okay.
Mhm,
Um, and have that something that permeates through every decision you make in your life that can increase uh, increase your happiness. And I know for me, that is God and all of the aspects that come along with that. Um, and that's probably why religion exists um, throughout so many different cultures. Many of them, you'll notice, like people will say, "Oh, they borrowed that, they copied that from another person or another religion, etc." But religions don't like copying each other. The truth is, there's just truth there that all of the religions happen to have consolidated on and learned of.
mhm,
Um, there's truths behind humanity and our history, and you can go back through history and learn things about ourselves um, and who we are. And I think that's really beautiful. So, um, anyways, my point there is there's something to it. Um, and there's something that puts us at peace there that's
mhm,
beyond just a mental battle, but also includes the mental battle within. Um,
mhm,
so, but yeah, Kendra, you are such an awesome person and a loving person. I don't
mhm.
know why, I don't know why you would feel like you don't deserve to be loved. Um, but
Well,
I think we all probably feel different pieces of that at times.
we do. We do.
Um, I see you as an incredible person with like no reason not to love the heck out of you. You're amazing, right?
Mhm,
I don't know what you're going through in life, but I will say that a lot of us go through that. And I think the important thing to remember here is that love is not a matter of deserve. And all of our lives that we live are not a matter of deserve. We have so many gifts that we didn't, I mean, we can't deserve them. We can't earn them. Um, so we should be thankful instead. of instead of feeling like you don't deserve it, just be thankful and uh, what's don't worry about what you deserve and don't deserve.
Mm-hmm.
Just worry about what you have and use it to the best you can do, best of your ability. Everything you have is a gift, and it should be given. Every talent that you have is a gift to be given to others around you. Um, Everything you have in life is a gift, including your body, your mind, and your soul. And you can use those as gifts for others as well. None of it is deserved, but you have it all. What are you going to do with it? I think that's a better question.
Mm-hmm.
Then, do I deserve it? Doesn't matter. You have it. Well, what are you going to do with it? I think that's kind of a better way to look at it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because otherwise, if you worry too much about, did I deserve it? You end up not using it. And that's just as good as throwing it away. So instead of worrying about whether you deserve something you have, it's much better to use it for good. And that way it gets used and becomes a gift that's worthy of having. Because I think a lot of times you're going to worry that you don't deserve something. But then if you start to use it and make good use of it, then you'll feel like, okay, I made this good. I made it worth having. I do now deserve that because I did stuff with it in the future, whatever, right? That's kind of how it works though. You feel like you don't deserve a gift until you've made good with it. You've made good use of it. And then you can feel like, okay, I'm glad I had that gift. Now I've deserved it. Now I've used it, right? For the betterment of humanity, etc. But hopefully all those things will help. Now Joe's was kind of short. I'm gonna let Joe speak again in case he has something he wants to add to it.
That was beautiful, Ryan.
Not as beautiful as your face. Oh,
oh my goodness. We went there. Great. You just ruined the whole thing by saying that. No, I'm just kidding.
No. I love you.
Kendra, you know that we love you here. And I hope that no matter what, whenever you're around us, that you feel loved and encouraged. And I hope that we always do that for you, because you really are a tremendously wonderful person. From day one, when you're talking about different things with art and enjoying yourself teaching art to young kids and stuff, there's so many things there that are just wonderful. One thing,
big impact on people on the server, I think too. So
yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. One thing I would say in there also is, if you're looking for a church, I don't know a specific church you would be looking for or finding or whatever, but one thing that I enjoy about going into a Catholic church is just the imagery that's around me when I'm in there. And I grew up in a different Christian denomination that was kind of averse to imagery a little bit, but then when I discovered the imagery there, it was really beautiful to be reminded of stuff. It's not like you're there worshiping the imagery, but you're just there being reminded of different things that are there, and it kind of helps to keep your mind on what you're there for. And specifically, when you're in a Catholic church, you always see a crucifix up there. And so you see Jesus on the cross. And so what you see there is an example of the ultimate gift. A person giving their life. And when I sit there and I look up at that and I go, you know what? That's a great example for how I'm supposed to act. I'm supposed to give of myself to the people around me. I'm supposed to give myself to my family. I'm supposed to give myself to others. I'm supposed to give. And what's amazing is, the more I give, the more fulfilled I feel. The more I give without expecting anything in return, the more I just give out of whatever I have, like Ryan was talking about. We've been given so many things, and our job is to give it, to continue it, to continue to give what we've been given. And that's why I look up at that, and some people say, oh, it's just a macabre vision of death and, like pain and stuff. And I'm like, what that is that's an image of the ultimate gift that he gave. So at any rate, that's what I would have to add to that. So if it wasn't the Catholic Church, oh, she says, okay, I love going to the Catholic Church my grandparents go to because of the statues of Jesus and Mary and stained glass windows. Yes. Beautiful. Are cool. They are. In fact, I was just at church recently, and the front of the church faces east. And I was there it was at 7:00 in the morning. So like the sun was just starting to come up. So all the stained glass in the front was all dark. And then by the end of the mass, you could see everything brightly because the sun had come up. So you just watch these images just get brighter and brighter and brighter as the mass went on. So it was pretty cool. But at any rate, I digress.
Cool. Yeah, I think that about ends it for the stream here, though. Thank you, everybody who's been here today. Akil, maybe next time we get to do yours. Yeah, is that all right?
Yeah. He says yes.
Okay, cool. Yeah, DWU version Akil.
Never at this rate.
Never.
You just we're just gonna have to stop listening to you when you say don't do mine, because that's what it is every time. We say, hey, you've got a whole bunch here, which one do you want us to do? Do so and so's. But you know what, I love
how giving you are.
You're so giving in that regard. Yes. So
that is really cool. But we are probably gonna do yours at some point now, even if you say no. We're just gonna do it. But Dad,
why is it as time sensitive? I know, and that's why we'll do it next.
Yeah,
because it's been sitting there for months.
Yeah,
the oldest one that was there was March 20th. So a couple weeks.
It's not too bad. But anyhow,
yeah.
Thank you guys for joining. You've been awesome. I love all the comments in the stream, and I appreciate you guys. Special thanks to Princess for being a wonderful hostess, and Jesse for being a wonderful, host, technically. But anyways,
he's a producer.
He's a producer, but technically host in this concept of his server is hosting our stream.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
And if he's a live host, because it's a live stream, then are we parasites?
Whoa! Yeah, nice. Yep, that's what we are. We are your. I am your host, Parasite, and this is my co-host, Parasite. Nice. Yeah, I guess that's fun.
Jesse is the host, producer, Batman, and a Pop-Tart.
Nice. That's awesome.
Jesse, I couldn't have said it better myself.
Yeah, that's perfect.
That's it.
Awesome. Nice. Wow. Thanks once again, everybody, and we'll see you on Wednesday. Sorry for the late stream today, but
okay. Jesse says thank you, and his YouTube phone died.
Okay, he said, okay, so Jesse wants to thank you for your kind words and love towards him. I'm going to expound what Jesse said instead of contract. Jesse also used other words, but I don't remember of them. And then he also said to let you know that he would thank you himself, but he cannot because his phone YouTube, I think he means the YouTube on his phone is not working because his phone is dead. And by dead, Jesse means to say that the batteries on his phone are no longer at a capacity of charge in which they fuel the phone with energy to make the phone work. I think that's what he intended to say by the word dead. But but I digress.
So he needs the receptacle to plug into the wall, receptacle to plug into the phone receptacle, which plugs into the cord on both sides.
Receptacle. Yeah.
Yes, this is what you came back to, Princess.
Welcome.
Welcome back.
Yeah. Welcome back. Oh, I was just thoroughly thanking everybody on Jesse's behalf.
Yes. And Princess, you missed us thanking you for being a tremendous hostess.
Yeah. You did. Thank you. And we love you. And we love you all. And this concludes our Don't Worry Friday edition. So until next time, have an amazing life. Experience it joyfully. And treasure yourselves and the love that you can give to others. And don't eat too many donuts. And do the rest of all the good. See you later. Bye-bye.